Hey, happy Fridays at 4 with Freed. Last week I was on the way to the Prosser area, so I had to pull off to the side of the road, and it was interesting. So I was in the middle of the field on the side of the road, just on the way to that great event. It was really fun. It was actually down at a private airfield south down there on the Columbia River. It was a beautiful place, and what a great turnout that we had, and great conversation. A lot of people are excited about for what's forward here in Washington State. Glad to see people jumping on. Looking forward to a little bit of a conversation as much as we can, back and forth with comments. But I'm going to be heading up to Arlington tonight. We're having a big freedom rally there. It starts at 5:30, so it's going to take me about an hour to get up there. So we'll make this probably a half hour or so, half hour, 45 minutes. But thanks so much for jumping on. You can ask questions there in the comments section, and then my team is going to send me the comments here on my iPhone right here, so we don't miss them. They got a great document that they put it in, and it can immediately come right into my hand because I don't see the questions on my screen here as they're being asked. So my team sends them to me on here, you can see. But I do hope everybody's doing good. It's been a great couple weeks, and got back from DC. I think I spoke about that last week, but just to let you know, it was a great time. This is my second meeting with the Republican Governors Association. I met with them last year, and actually, look, I can see, that's great. So the comments are coming up now. Sometimes I think maybe it's clicked off on my iPad, but anyway, can I speak to my Second Amendment rights? Yeah, actually, I will speak to that in just a second. But my meeting in Washington, D.C. was great. We met with several Republican leaders in the party, even leaders connected with the Trump campaign. So that was an interesting meeting. And then another meeting with two other Republican leaders there. And then, of course, the Republican Governors Association. It was a very positive 2 days, quick there, quick back. But what was really great to hear from the Republican Governors Association, so it's consistent with my meeting with them just prior to the COVID crisis, how they believe that my platform, my experience, my background is what they want to see go up against Jay Inslee in November. So they are excited for what they see here in the Republican movement here with our campaign. They say that, Josh, we like what we're seeing in your campaign. We like your issues. We like your background. And we believe that our campaign is the campaign to win in November against Jay Inslee. I can appreciate other candidates that are running right now that have, certain issues. They're big champions for Second Amendment rights, champions for initiative processes. I've done all that. I am a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I've run No New Gas Tax initiative. I've run, Initiative 27 to ban heroin injection sites. I've also been involved as a co-sponsor, the leading co-sponsor to referendum, getting a couple text here, but referendum 90 with comprehensive sex education, so that we can make sure that we can move those away and restore some safety for our kids in the schools, that we're not going to compromise their minds with comprehensive sex education. But the Republican Governors Association, I'm telling you, is pretty exciting. They have made Washington one of their 4 targets this year. So I'm excited to make sure that we are going to prove to them that we have great strength in the primary. But of course, I need each one of you that is on here right now to jump on board with the Freed campaign actively. We need folks to continue to put up signs around the state. We've put up several thousand, as you hopefully starting to see. We were behind on our sign orders, but you can't see the driveway behind me, but it's full of signs. We had even more dropped off, so I loaded up my car. We're having a big rally tonight, meeting with probably 400 to 500 people, which that will be pretty exciting. Tomorrow we have a couple different events. One is in Linden, so I'll be in Linden, and then taking a flight down to Longview for a huge event that is going to be happening down there in the park tomorrow. So keep your eyes out on both of those. So tonight there's an event, starts at 5:30. Tomorrow there's the parade in Linden. I'll be up there around 10:15. So please, if you're anywhere near Linden, come join us around 10:15. There's going to be a parade. I think it starts around 11 o'clock. And I'll jump on a private flight to head down at 1 o'clock to go down and see what's happening in Longview. There's a great park with a lot of great activities starting, I think, at 11 in the morning, going till around 4 o'clock. So please check that out. It's a great, it will be a great experience. Anyway, let me jump on a couple questions that are coming in already. Number one, a lot of people are asking me about my Second Amendment rights, and I speak about this a lot, yet still the question is out there. Josh, where do you stand on your Second Amendment rights? I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. My wife is a strong supporter. My family certainly is. My oldest son, he just left. He is enjoys shooting guns regularly. We go to Montana a lot to my parents' house and enjoy shooting all my dad's guns. I only have 25 here, which is apparently a starter kit, but I do enjoy those rights each and every day. I conceal carry, that's all right. Certainly my wife does as well. And we have those rights that are supported by the Second Amendment. So people ask about a gun rights commission that I mentioned once, and then an article was written from that. And so it's a gun rights commission. So in the title itself, it's very clear. Some people have so much concern about government, and rightfully so, because our Second Amendment rights consistently are attacked out of the legislature. So I think about during the stay-at-home order, how I heard about something that was happening in Edmonds. They ended up, 10 of us went down there to testify against what the city of Edmonds was doing, to say that during a time of emergency, that Second Amendment rights, your gun's going to be taken away. So we went down there, and 10 police officers came in and said, we don't have the right to be there and speak because the governor had suspended the OPMA. The OPMA is the Open Public Meetings Act, to speak. And we actually said, that's crazy. You're taking away our Second Amendment rights at the same time you're taking our First Amendment rights. So I went right outside, made a video. Over 80,000 people watched that video, I think within almost 24 hours. It was a pretty extraordinary response. So a lot of people started to email the city, call the city. And so that was Tuesday night. Wednesday, the police chief comes out and says, there's no taking of your guns. Well, I'm telling you, is Ordinance 4177, item G. Well, by Thursday, the mayor came out and said, we're going to meet as a council tomorrow to look to reverse or remove item G from Ordinance 4177. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what happened yesterday? Because your police chief said there is no taking of your guns during a time of emergency. Well, by Friday, unanimously, they removed ordinance or item G from Ordinance 4177, which was that the mayor could declare emergency and they could come take your guns away. So it was amazing in one night to see our First Amendment rights and our Second Amendment rights stolen. But as you can tell, at the beginning of the story, there were only 10 people there. And you know, it doesn't have to be 100 to 200 people to fight for our First Amendment rights. But what I want to see in Washington State is truly a watchdog commission that is looking out for all our constitutional rights. Gun rights are essential. If you take away your Second Amendment rights, the First Amendment rights are under attack. You know, my opponents, sadly in this race, turn negative and they try to smear and make it look negative. This was really coming from an Iman person that tried to come out there and make it look really bad, that I wasn't for our Second Amendment rights, which is just ridiculous. Of course I stand up for those. I've lived around guns my whole life. I've shot since I was a very young child. I regularly shoot. I'm actually the only candidate who has held 2 fundraisers focused around guns. Firearms were free. So I'm fighting for those rights. I will continue to fight for those rights. A gun right commission would be staffed with people that I would appoint that would only look out to support our Second Amendment rights. Some people say, well, what happens when a Democrat wins? Well, that would be 8 years from now. And we will continue to fight for those rights. We need to fight. Yes, the Second Amendment is there. Some people say that's all we need. I would say that is the basis of what our rights are supported by, yet they're constantly under assault. Ask yourself the question, are our rights for Second Amendments under assault? And are we seeing those withered away each day that the legislature is in session? Sadly, I say yes, which is why I think we need more tools in the chest to make sure that we can continue to fight strongly against that onward assault. All right, so some people constantly, which is great, asking for signs. We have signs distributed across the state in areas to have them distributed. We don't sell our signs. We like to give our signs away, but you can go to our website and order them. All we are doing is charging for the shipping, not the sign itself. So if you don't want to pay for the shipping costs, please go to one of our sign pickup locations. They are in multiple places across the state. What I encourage you to do is email Rhonda at freedforgovernor.com. That's Rhonda without an H, so RONDA at freedforgovernor.com. She knows all the sign locations. We have 3, 4, 5,000 signs at least across the state already, and then hundreds, if not thousands, sitting in sign locations across the state that you can go pick up. I just got a bunch dropped off here today at the house. So a lot more to go. Let's see, what else? Let me look at my notes here to make sure I'm addressing these questions. Can Inslee make laws forcing people to wear masks? If not, how do we fight? So he cannot make mandatory mask declarations because he is not he cannot write laws. We have a separation of powers in Washington state with the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. And so there is a separation of powers there. So when he makes mandates, it's just that, it's mandates. And what is shocking, of course, from all this is that during this period of time, he's making mandates against law-abiding citizens. So folks like you and me that are working hard to protect our families, to work hard in our vocations, provide for our families, and yet Jay Inslee, the same guy who says that he is unaware of what's happening down in the autonomous zone, he's making dictates that we have to wear a mask. It goes all in line with all this stuff against us, right? During this period of stay-at-home order, Yana, the email is Rhonda@freedforgovernor.com. That's RONDA @FREEDFOR governor.com. All right, so back to this. So he's making mandates, dictates against law-abiding citizens during this whole stay-at-home order. And yet he's letting 950 prisoners out of jail when we're all under house arrest. He also is saying if you're on your way to your essential job, he wants your neighbor to call the government and report you and say, we want you to call the government, take away your business license, we're going to put you in jail, we're going to fine you. And then now he is unaware of what he says in the autonomous zone, which thankfully yesterday morning finally was reestablished as a law-abiding area in the sense that the streets were open, the barricades were taken away after we were in the embarrassment of the nation for such a long period of time. Jenny Durkin called it the summer of love. Governor Inslee called it a place where he was unaware of what was going on. It was pretty extraordinary. Recklessness, lawlessness is under rise in Washington state. He's letting prisoners out of jail. We've seen murder increase by 41%. We've seen rape increase by 65%. We've seen assaults on individuals up by 20%. Assaults on police responders by 40%. Now in the public, these liberals, the socialists, are calling the police, saying to defund these people. They're wicked, they're awful, like unbelievable. I just saw a picture the other day of the police officers helping somebody out of the 9/11 collapse of that building there. How quickly do we forget? Those first responders are our heroes. Those are the folks that are fighting for our personal safety, and yet the Democrats would come and shame them and want to defund them. Look at what's happening on the other side of the aisle right now. I'm so thankful that so many independents are coming to the Freed campaign. I'm so thankful that former Democrats are saying we're looking for an alternative right now. We don't even recognize our own party that's talking about defunding the police, that's letting lawlessness occur on our streets in Seattle and Federal Way and Olympia and across the state, where we have to have individuals come out on the sidewalks to make sure that businesses are protected because we're seeing violent protests, rioters that are not being enforced because these mayors and the governor are not saying to enforce the laws. We are being victimized, and our representatives are not representing us. They're representing lawlessness. That's a condition of what's happening in our state today. So, Latricia, what are your views on the immigration and sanctuary cities? You know, I'm proud to say that we have a lot of diversity here in Washington state. We are a place that celebrates different cultures and invites people here. We just want to make sure that it happens legally, for sure, right? So when Jay Inslee makes us a sanctuary state, he's made us a hotbed for the sex trade in Washington. So now we have 18-year-olds and younger in the sex trade. That means average age 12-year-old boys and girls. It's a great sickness. I mean, not great sickness, you know what I mean? It's a huge sickness that's happening in Washington state. It's disgusting to think that we have 5, 6-year-old kids being victimized by sexual predators, by molesters. And sadly, there's an environment here we could talk about maybe at some point, but it's just sickening to think that Jay Inslee is protecting sexual predators. Nobody who protects a sexual predator should have an ability to stand in public office. We need to end that. I was a counselor for many years, and I would sit with folks who had been sexually molested, raped, and I'm telling you, that impacts these people for their whole life. I met with people who had been molested 20, 30 years before, and to think that anybody would come out and say, well, you know, some people, these are falsely accused, and sometimes they'll admit guilt just to get a pardon. I think that's a gross sickness, and those people should be quickly thrown out of office or their positions. They have no right in the public square. So Joseph Graham, how would you respond to Inslee's further decrees bullying businesses who don't do what he wants? Well, he's been a bully through this whole thing, Joe. You and I can recognize that for sure. I've listened to him come on to his press conferences and talk about how he wants to have neighbors call in upon neighbors. It's just ridiculous. People need to be allowed to work. As he's spent or sent $1 billion of our tax dollars across the street, you know, across, where'd he go? Nigerian fraud ring, $1 billion just pouring out through a gate. And yet Jay Inslee has yet to fail that person or fire that person who is running the Employee Security Department, ESD. I mean, we know that our president immediately would say, you're fired. Why isn't our governor just has no spine? Well, the reason why is because the person running this office is a political fundraiser for the Democrat Party. They're willing to compromise at any turn just to make sure that they retain their power. And these folks are pretending that they are looking into this. The reality is we're going to find that a lot of that was an inside job throughout the whole distribution and the stealing, the fraud that happened there. You cannot just think that it was just an outside job. That's an inside job. Look at who lined their pockets during that ESD. And Jay Inslee is protecting these people. He's protecting the lawless, the criminals in Washington state. And yet we, the law-abiding citizens, he mandates that we have to wear a mask. We can't go to work. We have to stay at home. We're going to fine people if you go. This is the guy who was a bully that says if your kids are literally out on the sidewalk playing, tell them you're going to write them out of the will. I'm telling you, this is why the Republican Governors Association is excited about my race, because we're going to take this straight to Jay Inslee. He's done great damage to Washington state. He's created an environment where sexual molesters, where predators are safe, protected under his authority. Anyone who would protect a sexual molester, predator, should be tossed out of this state, quite clearly. There is no room for that. Can you address if Inslee really has the legal authority to enforce people and wear masks? Amy, I think I spoke to that a little bit, but so he's making mandates. So you look at the RCW, the emergency order, there's item 1H and item 2G. Those are the sections that he's going to try to come up with his dictates. Ultimately, he cannot create laws, they're only mandates. And so if you are not feeling comfortable to wear a mask, don't wear one. If you want to wear a mask, by all means do. The bad thing is with masks, you can read science on both different sides of this whole thing, right? So you can hear from some medical professionals that say it's good to wear them and others who say it's extremely unhealthy. Why? Because some people are wearing an N95 mask. When you have an N95 mask on, if you have COVID and you're breathing out, you're actually giving it to other people that are around you. Right? So the greatest thing is just make sure that we have proper hygiene. If you're feeling sick, stay home. If you're more susceptible to have great damage from COVID, stay home, stay safe, right? But we're finding that 8% of the deaths that occur are for people under 60 years old. We need to get back to work because our economy is dying. And I have to say that Jay Inslee is killing our economy. I went downtown Seattle and served meals to 150 individuals in Pioneer Square. We set up a grill, cooked a lot of grilled cheese and handed them out. My team, we met 6 to 8 people at least that are in first-time homelessness under the unconstitutional, unscientific, unproven directives of Governor Inslee. He points out science, and yet he never really shows what that science is. He uses traffic patterns as his basis of his decisions. It's a great sickness. So you have the freedom in America to wear a mask or not wear a mask. That's your personal decision. And if you go into a facility that says you can't come in unless you have a mask on, let them know that you're going to remember that they refuse service to you. They have that right too to say, well, we have these certain rules here. You gotta do what we want, but ultimately we have the right to buy or not buy in those places in the future. So Let's see. Can you debate liberals on the science that Inslee is dependent on denying our rights to basically live normal lives? So, Robert, I say the science that he's looked at and turned to that I've seen during his press conferences, he turns around and looks at a screen and he says, look at these traffic patterns. If you are in the Bellevue zip code, which of course is a more high affluent, higher income zip code, you're doing a great job. Traffic patterns are down. He's literally talking about cars, by the way, just to make clear. Traffic patterns is down by 20%, but you go to Lakewood, traffic is only down by 5%. So you're doing a worse job there and you're killing your grandparents. Well, maybe it's possible those folks in the white collar neighborhoods at Bellevue have the ability to stay home and work on their computers, yet people maybe in more blue collar neighborhoods need to go to work. Listen, these are the same people who may be waiting for 6 to 8 weeks to get their unemployment checks as sorry, seeing a couple questions as they come in. Are these people waiting 6 to 8 weeks to get their unemployment checks that aren't coming because we're sending $1 billion out of this country to a Nigerian fraud ring because Jay Inslee is a reckless leader? This guy pretends that he's king. He sits behind a high wall in a mansion that we pay for. He continues to take a salary. When I become governor, I'm not going to take a salary. Why? Because we have needed a servant leader in Olympia for an extremely long time. After 35 years of party control, Jay Inslee sits down there still and continues to take a salary, and they make dictates that we, the people, cannot work. I'm telling you that people are starving in Washington State. People are living on the streets of our city because of your dictates. Jay Inslee, it's time for you to step out. You say that it's really hard work and you wish it wasn't on your shoulders and you want somebody else to take that leadership. I'm ready to take that leadership. It is time. And I'm telling you, the voters of Washington State are desperate for change. Wow. So I just see a comment here says, I know somebody who still hasn't gotten their unemployment check and they applied in April. That's just heartbreaking. All right. So I'm not seeing on my phone any more questions coming in. So let me, hey Freed, we need a list of reasons to support you over Culp. I'm interested in the First and Second Amendment differences. Oh, it's starting to disappear here. If my team could re-up sending me these things, because once 2 statements are here, I can't read anymore. Okay, so thank you so much for sending these questions in. I was logged on to the doc and it's just not reloading, just so you know that. But let me just do the text, which works great. What's your stance on the Culp allegations? Oh my goodness. I wasn't going to get into that, but what's my stance on that? I can just tell you the underlying case is extremely concerning. That a girl who was sexually abused for 12 years from the age of 5 up to age 17 comes to express her concerns about what's going on. My understanding of the court case is her concerns were actually rejected by the leaders there in Ferry County, and they actually told her they'll bring charges against her if she continues to push forward this. And I even hear continued defense of the sexual predator who's already been convicted and actually admitted guilt to the rapes that were occurring. So to me, it's a great sickness, and nobody who would defend a sexual predator should be in office, running for office. To me, it's a great sickness. So on the underlying case, the predator already admitted guilt, was given a life-term sentence in prison because of that guilt. He was let go early release, but he is under tracking for the rest of his life due to his decisions to rape and molest a young girl. And sadly, this girl at age 17 was sent home for protection with a 23-year-old officer and was further raped there in Republic. So that's sick. I've dedicated my life to protecting people who have been molested or sexually abused. I used to serve on Protect a Child Today board as the chair of that board. I was a mental health counselor, worked with people who had been abused, and I have dear friends that have been sexually abused. And to think that anyone would come out and say that, somebody would declare guilt just so they could get a lighter sentence, I think is just disgusting. That some people admit guilt and then they don't really aren't guilty. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it because obviously it's a court case that's going on right now, and just the underlying issue is as repulsive as I could imagine. We need to be a party that stands up for the rights of women or young boys that are sexually abused, trafficked. We should never stand up for those people who are the molesters. I mean, isn't that kind of clear and common sense? Anyway, where do you support the Second Amendment? What's the gun rights commission that you're proposing? Second Amendment, obviously I strongly support it. My wife and I enjoy those rights, as does my family. We enjoy going out and target shooting, skeet shooting. We've had a couple fundraising events on that. The Gun Rights Commission, very much in that title, is to protect our gun rights. We see them constantly under assault by the liberals, those folks that want to take away our guns, yet let violent criminals and rioters take over tops of cities. You know, I think about that whole thing. They gave them an inch that first night on Capitol Hill, and they took 6 blocks. These are the same people that broke down 67 different windows of Asian businesses and stole from them. These are folks that when you went in and spoke against what they were doing, they would violently remove you. And then, of course, multiple people got shot within Chaz or CHOP, which I now call SHOT. All right. What's your plan to bring the state together? How will you unite us? Well, definitely we need more understanding. And during my leadership of the city of Bothell, I certainly was a leader in that, working with Republicans, Democrats, Independents, to create a vision for the city of Bothell, and we saw that vision come to light. We've got $450 million worth of private investment to help with the largest revitalization of a downtown. For Washington, we need to do the same. And of course, Jay Inslee is dismally unprepared to unite us during a time that we are seeing that we're divided, as people are concerned about injustices that have happened in the past. Jay Inslee has declared some people in Washington state winners, some people losers, some people essential, some people non-essential. He says take away your kids' rights, in the sense like take away them out of their will. He says that call on your neighbors and report them and make sure that they get arrested, make sure that they have a fine, make sure their business license gets taken away. He clearly is not somebody who can unite us. We are desperate for people to bring us together. I am that leader to bring us together. I have experience in doing so. I used to be a marriage and family counselor. Now I'm a real estate developer and home builder for the last 15 years. But my experience is to bring people together to work together as teams, to find collaboration, to move forward. And that's what I'll dedicate myself to. Edie or Eddie. Are those tattoos on your hands, or were you doing some auto repair earlier? You have my vote. Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah, those are tattoos. So this is the Noon, which is an Arabic symbol for a Christian, and that's the Jerusalem cross, which stands about taking the love of God around the world. So I actually got them in Jerusalem, which is at the oldest tattoo shop in the world. They've been doing them for 726 years. Those are the only 2 I've got. But I just want people to know that my faith is important to me. Think about my case that I brought against Jay Inslee, which was specifically about our religious liberties that have been taken away. 67%, that's 67% of people in Washington state say their relationship with God is extremely important. So I was standing up for the rights of people to meet with their spiritual leaders, whether you are Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Jewish. We have that right in America. And, for such a long period of time, our society says don't speak about religion, don't bring it up. Yet if that's something that motivates you in your life to make decisions and defend the defenseless, then that's something that we should do. For me, I'm taught to love our neighbors. That means we need to find common ground with others. We need to accept others' different positions. Not that we have to accept them, but we have to honor them in the sense that we all have the right in America. We are strong when we have good cultural differences, when we honoring different people's perspectives in life. And my faith motivates me to love others. And so there is a separation of church and state. We don't believe that we force a religion on another person. That's absolutely ridiculous. We live in America. We don't live in other countries. In the Middle East, you hear multiple times a day that you must believe stuff like with Sharia law. I have many friends who are Muslim and do not agree with that you should be mandating and forced religion on others. I found a lot of ways that people can live peacefully with each other with different faiths. Ultimately, we work for the common good of a Washington state here and for America. So let's take a couple other questions. I just got a very disturbing email from my church that said that there has been some conversation about the governor about returning back to phase 1. Can he do that? Unbelievable. I have not seen that email. Don't know what that's about. He is a very regressive governor. This guy is killing Washington State. So many businesses I met during my 39 county tour over 14 days last month. We met so many different businesses that want to continue to move forward, that want to open, and sadly so many businesses that will never open again. Jay Inslee is killing Washington with his unconstitutional directives against businesses. It is time that we take back Washington State. It's time that we reopen Washington State. He is a sick puppy of a leader, I'm telling you. Some people laugh when I called him son of a gun the other day, but we are a family-friendly program here. Not like comprehensive sex education at 2 in the morning. They have to put a disclaimer on the bottom of the screen that says, warning, content of explicit material. I'm so happy to say I am a leading co-sponsor on Referendum 90 and working to protect our rights. All right, so Sharnessa. Hey, Josh, regarding your statement of wanting to reduce our state government by 25%, you mean bureaucratic jobs? I have a friend who is a teacher who's concerned you meant including educational jobs. No, I'm not talking about educational jobs. Education is a paramount responsibility of the state of Washington. Look at McCleary. And what I'm talking about is we've seen bureaucracy grow under Jay Inslee. We've seen bureaucracy grow after the last 35 years of government control in Olympia, where he makes 1,500 appointments regularly to grow state government. We're at a point right now in Washington State where we are working to support government. True, right? Don't you feel that? Where no job has been lost in the government. Actually, they've added 1,500 over the last several months to track and trace each one of us. We need to have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, which is why I say that we need to see a 25% reduction of state government. And listen to me all the way through here. I hope you guys are still here with me. But the budget is $54 billion, so for the 2-year budget, right? So we're going to see an $8 billion shortfall. $8 billion. So we have to cut state government. We are forced in that position. The answer is not more tax increases on the citizens of Washington State who already are facing the highest unemployment rate in the nation. We need to get our economy moving. I have experience to move our economy moving. I did so in the city of Bothell. I never had to raise taxes for 12 years, yet I oversaw the largest revitalization of a downtown in Washington State. We need to get our economy moving by reducing the 57,000 pages of regulations that we see that stand 6 feet tall. We need to reduce or give a sales tax holiday right now for a period of time. Also, the B&O tax, which is the most regressive tax in the nation. Jay Inslee increased that as the first bill that he signed out of the legislature this year. We need to bring the light of what's happening down in Olympia, because when they're at work, they're increasing taxes $2.7 billion last year, a 17% spending increase, 60% increase in spending under Jay Inslee. It has to stop. The madness must end. 35 years, it's not working. That's why you see, look downtown Seattle, when people are going downtown, taking over the autonomous zone, there's socialism that is downtown Seattle. That's the hotbed of it all, right? They're not even happy with their own policies. If they were happy, they wouldn't have to violently take over 6 blocks. Socialism has failed. They're trying to battle us here in this state, but I'm telling you, we are winning the battle. Why? Because truth and light ultimately win in the end. So let's keep on fighting them. Vaccine? No, I'm not for forced vaccinations. We have, again, it's our body, our choice, I thought. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss any more questions. I just got a very disturbing email. Let's see. Hey, Freed, list of reasons to support you over Culp. I think I listed that I strongly support the First Amendment. I strongly support the Second Amendment. I strongly support the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution. And yes, I have read them both. And I will stand up to make sure that we defend those rights. The difference between Culp and myself, obviously, I have far more depth and experience than he has, and on all of my opponents. I've run initiatives myself. I've been involved with Referendum 90, with Initiative 27, fighting heroin injection sites. I was running as campaign manager in the No New Gas Tax Initiative many years ago. I've had executive experience running my own company for 15 years. I've done a lot of service around the world for 21 years in the Philippines and in Kenya, drilling wells, defending the defenseless. Right now, I just don't think that my opponent is prepared to lead. And the fact that he's doubling down, defending a sexual predator is absolutely disgusting. But those are his words, not mine, so he has to defend them, not me. Are those tattoos? I'm going back up. Let's see. mandatory vaccines? No, I'm not for mandatory vaccines. So a lot of good questions are coming in here, obviously. Let me, yes, hand washing is absolutely important. We need to continue to make sure that we're looking out for proper hygiene, for sure. Let me just end with a couple of different thoughts and statements here. Just to make clear again, it is in Nigeria. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, Inslee Yakima. You know, on that statement, he was down in Yakima a couple days ago and he didn't have his mask on. And I don't know if you've seen the video, but he says, you might be wondering why I don't have my mask on. It's my First Amendment right. Well, when anybody asks you when you're walking in a facility, if you're not somebody who wants to wear a mask, just say, I'm following the governor's own statement that it's my constitutional rights. That's what we need to do. All right. So I'm going to head up north to go to an event tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of food, a lot of games, a lot of fun. Hopefully you signed up for it. We're maxed. I think the whole event is maxed out. We'll have over 450 people up attending this event tonight. So that should be fun. And tomorrow we're going to be in Linden in the parade, and that will be fun. And then we're going to be down in Longview for an event for the 4th of July. If you're free, come on down there. It should be running from anywhere, I think, at 10:30 in the morning to around 4:30 in the afternoon. So if you're free, come on down. And let's see, what else? So many different events. We have so many different events this month. It's exciting. We're on a pathway to victory. Would love to have you jump on board with us. Here's how you can help. You can order signs online. Again, we don't charge for the signs. It's just for the shipping cost. If you want to save on the shipping costs, we have multiple different locations around the state that you can go pick up signs. We want to get them up. If they're in your garage by any chance, please get them up this weekend. Just go up to a street corner and put them in your front yard, whatever you can do. If you can contribute to the campaign, we need you to jump on board now. This is the time. These are the weeks. This is a critical point to make sure that we are victorious in the primary, because again, I think if any other candidate wins, they're not going to have a chance against Jay Inslee in November. It's going to take a myriad of experience to address the numerous failures that we see from our governor across the state. I'm here in King County. We have relationships in King County, Pierce County, Snohomish County. This is our battleground where we need to win and pull out the vote. In the rest of the state, we as 39 counties united will defeat what's happening in downtown Seattle. This is our chance this year. Jay Inslee has a negative 57% approval. He has only a 41% of the state that would vote for him today, and only one county, King County, gives him a positive job rating. This is the opportunity we've been waiting for 35 years. I need you to stand with me. Volunteer for the campaign. Host a fundraiser for me or a meet and greet. Jump on board and come meet us at one of the 22 events that we have scheduled this month across our beautiful state. I'm so glad that we have a state that is unifying to see that Jay Inslee is going to be defeated this November. It's been too long. People are jumping on board with the campaign. Republicans, obviously, independents, Democrats that are ready to see a change in Washington state. This is our time. Please go to freedforgovernor.com. That's freedforgovernor.com. Order a shirt, order a hat, jump on board. We need your help to make sure that we're victorious, and I'm excited about the pathway forward. May God bless you. God bless those who have given their life to fight for our independence and those who have fought for our independence today. Let's celebrate them, and let's celebrate tomorrow on our Independence Day. Independence from tyranny, the freedom that was attained for our country. Thank you so much to the Founding Fathers. Thank you so much to God who has stood in the gap for us in America for such a long period of time. And look forward to seeing you all on the trail over the next month, and then beyond that through November, and then looking forward to be your new governor in January. All the best.